Nerves can have a way of blocking sounds. I'm particular. We'll see how this goes. I did not have the time I wanted to in order to practice, so this could be very interesting. But yes, here we are. We're talking about cognitive distortions and how to break the negative feedback loop. This is not a technical talk, but it is an important talk, I feel, because it's something that I've had to work through, and I am not fully worked through it, but I did want to share what I've learned so far. So hello. This is a very personal talk for me. We're going to talk about how you can reconcile the war that you have sometimes between that inner voice in your head and how to reconcile what is true and what is perceived to be true. My name is Chris Weber. I'm a Drupal enthusiast. My username on Drupal is Cosmic Dreams. I've been a Drupalist for over a decade. I've been a Drupal developer for a good solid 7 years. But even before coming to Drupal, I've been a person who is constantly trying to find ways to improve myself and to be better. Hey, Joe.
Could you speak a little louder?
There isn't a mic. There is this thing on? Hello? Is that better? Okay. Well, this will be interesting. Maybe I don't have to like eat it. Maybe is this better? A little bit better. I can try to use theater voice.
Yes.
That'd be better. So, let's get into it. So, a little bit about cognitive behavior theory, of which I am definitely not an expert. But it's important for the rest of the talk to understand that we have a way of shaping reality that we need to demystify in this talk. A common way of dealing with situations is that we start at the top of the pyramid. We have some kind of a thought, and that thought can impact how we feel about a situation. Those feelings can drive our behaviors, and the results of those behaviors and the momentum of those behaviors can drive further thoughts. And a good example of that would be like, if you become jealous upon your neighbors, you start seeing that they got a fancy new car, they're working up their house. I know they're not making more than me. So what makes them so special? And so you approach your neighbors and you're trying to figure out like what's new. Did you win the lottery? Are you going into debt? That kind of thing. You start making assumptions and you start driving that relationship between you and your neighbors into a pretty negative direction. And then that in turn drives additional thoughts, like not only negative thoughts towards them, but perhaps negative thoughts towards yourself, like why am I not into a position where I can buy a new car, a new house, get that fancy thing? And then you can have it's. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I wish I could see this as well as you see this. I can't actually see these words. What I'm trying to get at is that the whole cycle of things and how we can shape our reality through how we react either positively or negatively. What I'm trying to get to is this slide here. Take a moment and try to consume this picture. try to put yourself in the position of each person that's in there. I imagine myself in the role of the woman on the right. You know, are people judging me because I'm holding a glass that looks like it could be an alcoholic beverage, even though it appears that I'm pregnant? You know, everyone seems to be looking forward to Dave's chicken kebabs over there. But what if they're not up to snuff? You know, what if Mike over there in the middle? What if he's offended because I'm making chicken kebabs and he's a vegetarian? These thoughts come unwittingly. They come automatically. These thoughts can weigh on you, and once the impact of a few thoughts come and start to weigh you down, it becomes like a train you can't stop. Just speaking on a personal level, where I suffer the most is when I meet a client and we go over the details of the project, and at the end of it, we have a good deal of confidence. We know that we're going to be able to do some good stuff, and then we say, yep, we're going to do it. At that moment in time, I feel like I'm locked into doing everything I humanly can in order to make that come true. And you know as well as I do, there are projects where just everything that could happen does happen. Your team changes, people leave. You get weighed on with more than just one project. You got multiple projects. And that commitment you made at the beginning becomes jeopardized because of just the nature of what's happening on the ground. So I feel that hopelessness, that despite everything I could possibly do, I can't actually guarantee that if I say a project's going to go well, that it's going to go well. That's the thing that eats me. So a little bit more. Cognitive distortions are a series of 10 different distortions I promise we're going to get to. We're going to get to the guts of this soon. I can't read that here. I almost wish maybe I should switch to mirroring or something. But the way we think guides the way we relate to others, the world, and the way we perceive ourselves. When these relationships rest on the distorted premises, they lack the authenticity and mislead us while engaging in social interactions or when we perceive ourselves. This idea, I put slide title.
That's okay.
I am the best. What I'm trying to say on this slide is that it's a kind of natural pull and tug between people who are strongly right-brained and people who are strongly left-brained. And it is the left brain that is more at fault here, that interprets what is happening and tries to imbue meaning into whether it's positive meaning or negative meaning. But here's the part I really want to get into. The distortions. A couple of months ago, about a year ago, I I was working with a manager I really love. And we would go into our one-on-ones, and every day I would tell him about how I'm not good enough, I'm not working hard enough, I should be doing better, everything that I'm doing just seems like it's going to go wrong. And he would look me in the eye and say, hey, Chris, do me a favor and shut the fuck up. And cut that bullshit out. And it took me several months, several years, really my whole life, to realize that I do a good fraction of these different cognitive distortions. So let's identify them. Overgeneralization. And overgeneralization happens when you generally assume that things will go wrong because that's your life right now. That if one thing is going wrong, then chances are that you're just tainted with the curse of doing wrong things. Mental filtering, or as I like to call it, the shitty filter, is when you can perceive all the things that are happening to you, but only pay attention to the bad things, and that you do not pay attention to any of the good things. The classic thing is like when I'm meeting someone and they know me well and they give me a compliment. You may notice I have this tick where it's like I shake my head a little bit as if I'm like trying to shake off that compliment, because it's like I get uncomfortable when I hear it, because that voice in the back of my head is immediately saying that's not for you. You know, trying to intercept the compliment, dodge it, and because if you allow the compliments in, then you'll lose your rigor. You'll lose your focus on everything that's wrong. All or nothing thinking is when you discount all the good things that you were doing because of the small bad you were doing. It goes hand in hand with the shitty filter. It's more than just filtering the inputs that are happening. It's like your own interpretation of reality. You know, in retrospect, we wouldn't be doing the things that we're doing. We wouldn't be employed by such great companies and doing great work for clients if we didn't have a skill in this. If we didn't have a skill in this, we would be doing other things, or we would find ourselves in a position where we're not doing what we're you know what I'm saying? Okay, thank you. Personalizing, when everything that goes bad is your fault. Like the thoughts that say, my team would be more successful if I was just better. Catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is when you predict that a terrible thing would happen, and then you immediately convince yourself that, yes, that thing's going to happen, and that there's no avoiding it. Emotional reasoning, when the reason why you believe something is because you feel it's true. Mind reading, when you use no evidence other than your perceptibility of what people might be thinking of you as your evidence that they actually do think those things. Otherwise known as paranoia. And fortune telling. It's another aspect of catastrophizing. It's when you are absolutely convinced of the future, and again, you feel hopeless. And lastly, the should statements. Actually, this isn't last, but this one's my favorite, because I do this all the time. It's like, I should know more about the Drupal API. I've been doing this for years. Why don't I know how to do a batch process? Or why don't I understand cache tags? Or why don't I understand the migrate system? Or why don't I know these newfangled JavaScript things? They seem like they're hard, but they're actually like derivative. So the should statements. The key insight for me in talking with my manager and then later a psychiatrist about this was that stop focusing on the things that you need to do today in order to be the person that you want to be in the future. Start being the person you are now, because that's pretty damn good. This is my wife's favorite. She added this one. Magnification or minimization. When you take a situation and you find the thing that is wrong, and that is the most important thing now. Or you take the thing that's good and it's just insignificant. So how do we deal with it? You really don't. Best thing that we can do is identify that these things happen. And in cognitive psychology, they're called automatic negative thoughts. They're a way that we're just conditioned to react. I don't know if it's nature, I don't know if it's nurture, but for me, it's omnipresent. And the best thing that you can do is to have your inner Tom, like my manager Tom. I wish he was here. I asked him to come, but he's to have your just that inner voice, that the one that's in your head that's intercepting all the positive things, preventing you from having those positive things. Get that one a doppelganger, and have another voice in your head that says, "You're doing it again. Cut that BS out." And try to get back to the facts. Some of you may have been in the talk I gave at DrupalCon about crucial conversations, where the key of that was that facts are the least offensive thing. There may be facts that you're uncomfortable with, but at least if you know that it's a fact, it's not as offensive as someone's telling you that you're garbage. Even if it's yourself. So look for evidence, and look for alternative answers to the catastrophizing, the overgeneralization, the shitty filters that you're doing. Put into perspective how you are working, your state of success versus like what you would expect from someone else. Do you have a different playbook, a different set of rules for yourself than you do for the members of your team, for a developer who's been doing things as long as you, for a developer who's just starting out? Have empathy not just for the people who surround you, but for yourself. And yeah, try to find a more helpful thought, a more productive thought. If you're settling on a thought about how terrible you think you are, it might be worthwhile to ask yourself, what benefit is that thought? What benefit is that impression? Does thinking that this whole project is doomed because I just can't figure this one thing out going to help the project? Maybe you just need to take a nap. Wake up and give it another shot. The best you can do is be in the process and to give it your honest effort. After that, the solutions just come. Because there are a lot of great things about the world, and you're one of them. What would your team be without you? You drive a lot of things. You make a lot of impact, not just at work, but for the people who care about you. You make an impact for them. And at the end of the day, that's more important than anything that you'll make or that you'll accomplish. Thank you. Any questions? It's not really a technical talk.
Yeah, so you said it's Tom, that's your your manager. Who was it that was in your head, helping you?
Tom O'Connor.
Right. So what was his? I mean, we all struggle with these things.
Yeah.
Did he have anything that he shared with you that he struggles with?
Well, yeah, I mean, what he struggled with was the fact that, he tended to be a person that was very brash. He didn't think through a number of situations. He would kind of react, but he also talked about, as pretty much everyone who you've ever known that had gone through like an imposter syndrome situation. Where he was just a developer who went through solved the problems that he was into, but he didn't have like a good understanding, a foundational understanding of things. He was just hacking his way through things.
I don't have a question so much as just like a general comment, which is that if you all are looking for a good person who writes and thinks about this a lot, Denise Jacobs is great. She keynoted Mini WebCon year before last, I think, and she just released a book, and it's about like dealing with your inner critic. And I mean, I don't know, personally, I have a crappy screenshot of one of her slides that I like have taped everywhere, which is that a quote from one of her talks, which is, "You will only experience imposter syndrome when you are capable and competent and qualified, I want to say, which are two things that I often struggle with feeling personally. But it's, I don't know, sometimes it's a comforting thought.
If you have a link, let's meet afterwards, and I'll make sure that I put it as a comment to the talk. If someone finds this and then wants to find that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought it was a very nice talk. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't really have a question either, but I wanted to commend you for speaking and thank you for being vulnerable and for talking about the things you did. I think everybody struggles with their own issues and they're on their own personal journey. And I really appreciate you being out there talking about it.
Thank you. I didn't really have the tick there, but I still had the thing where it's like, let's just get past the compliment. So we can wrap, but I thank you very much. I'll try to put some of the links that I were able to gather in order to put this talk together. There's a lot of great documentation about how to handle it, but the process is simple. Just know you're doing it and cut that bullshit out.